Let's take you back to the Independent Electoral Commission launch of the 2024 national and provincial elections. Ziniko Mhlaba standing by with more political reaction. Ziniko.
Yes, Kole, actually we're about to speak to the Secretary General of the Economic Freedom Fighters. They contested the elections in 2014, and of course it will be their time again to see how they will be able to sustain their position as a third biggest party, or if they have what it takes to improve that performance in 2015 and 2014. Mr. Marshal Dlamni, thank you very much for your time. Sir, it's been very difficult in South Africa for new parties to come into the picture, to do well, and also do well the second time around. What's the plan for the EFF now in terms of 2024, considering the fact that even independent candidates will be in the space contesting for the same power?
Look, for us, you know that we started contesting the national elections in 2014, and then in 2019 we contested, we improved. This is the third time around, we're going for everything. We're ready. We came here to observe the launch of the elections. All we need is Cyril tomorrow must give us a date so that we can go. We are ready to go to elections. He must not delay us. He must give us a date now. Then we go for elections. Our people, they need to be released from this brutality and exploitation that is coming from the ruling party. Everyone needs to breathe. So let's give them a breather. Let's go to elections. We are ready from our side. We went to launch our elections through the elections workshop. The structures were all over the country. The structures are ready. We are building all those structures. So you must give us a date so that the people of South Africa can finally enjoy the real freedom of this country.
I mean, one would say the EFF, in terms of its policies, in terms of taking discipline, is a very serious matter. You just expelled a couple of KZN and other members of the party more recently. Don't you think that is going to have any effect on the performance of the EFF in those key and strategic provinces such as KZN?
One of the key principles that is founded in the constitution of the EFF is accountability. So for the last 10 years, what has kept us solid is accountability and consequences. So when it comes to that, when the directives have been issued, we expect all members to comply and account. And because South Africa has been used to this ANC mediocrity, they think accountability is harsh. It's not harsh. It's what it's expected from every public representative. Just think these people that if tomorrow they're given a responsibility, as you know that they were members of parliament, they were members of the municipal councils. If there's no accountability, that's why you see the rot, that's why you see no service delivery, because there's no accountability. And that you're not going to find in the EFF. And let me tell you now, even on the day of elections, if the elections are on the 8th of May, and a member of the EFF has been found that he has stolen money from the taxpayers' coffers, we will expel that member even when the elections are the following day, because accountability must never be compromised, and we are not apologetic of the decisions that the organization have taken. We are laying a solid foundation to those who will inherit this organization, that to keep it intact, it must never be about friendship, it must be accountability, it must be about hard work. Once you fail to do that, there must be consequences.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So those are the views of the political parties here at the Galaka Estate in Johannesburg. Political parties reacting, but also sharing some of their insights on how their internal political party dynamics are likely to affect their election performance, with Marshal Dlamni there from the EFF saying that, well, he has confidence that indeed his party is going to perform to its maximum. As he said earlier on, that they started participating in the elections in 2024. They came back again in 2019, did very well. I'm going to try to grab here the leader of the Freedom Front Plus so that he comes to talk to us here. So it's one of those oldest political organizations which have been in the country's election campaign since 1994. Very few of them is the Freedom Front Plus, the IFP, and also the issues such as PAC. I'm joined now by Dr. Pieter from the Freedom Front Plus. Sir, you've had an opportunity to be participating in these elections for some time now, since 1994. You are representing a minority in terms of the country's population. what do you make of the upcoming elections now and in the context of the Freedom Front Plus?
Well, if you say minority, we're the 5th largest political party in South Africa at this moment. So we had an enormous growth in 2019. What we say to the people of South Africa is that they must go and register to ensure that they can vote. At the moment, the ANC has a 58% majority in Parliament, but they only received 27% of eligible voters' support. So everybody is complaining what is going on in South Africa, infrastructure collapsing, poor service delivery. Therefore, my appeal to the people and specific the eligible voters, ensure that you register and go and vote. I think there is really a very good chance that we can get rid of the ANC in the government because of the fact that there's not a single opposition party on its own will be able to receive enough votes to oust the ANC. But the opposition parties as a whole can take hands and together they will be able to do that. And that's why we have the multi-party charter. And I think it is possible that it's going to happen.
Do you think that's going to work, though, looking at how coalitions have been, unstable in the biggest metros? So do you think it is worth taking that risk at the national level and looking at the coalition charter that you're referring to right now?
Well, firstly, you must understand, you're referring to what is happening in the metros, but there are many other municipalities who are in a coalition who is quite stable. So don't use only one example or so. But you must always remember that coalitions is something new in South Africa. I said it is a learning curve not only for politicians, but also for the electorate. And they must realize, if you look at the electoral system, that is one of the strong features of a proportional electoral system, that opposition parties can come together and form a coalition. It's something new, but the multi-party charter is an opportunity where we already came together and we say, let's see where we have differences, where we agree. But we must remember that coalitions will only be formed after the election. But because of the constitution in South Africa that determines within 14 days after the election results, you must elect a president and form a government, we don't have much time. And that's why we are working hard at the moment behind closed doors to ensure that when we get to that 14 days, that most of the problems been solved and that we can quickly then go into coalitions. There may be new partners as well. And therefore, we say that is the solution for South Africa.
Let's leave it there now for Doctor. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Say again?
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Thank you very much. Thank Dr. Pieter Groenewald from the Freedom Front Plus, giving us his take, but also emphasizing the importance of the opposition parties working together, referencing that charter that is made up of all minority parties in South Africa, at least the majority of those. So we'll see if that is going to be the reality just after the elections come next day. Back to you, Khumalo, for now.
Ziniko Mhlaba, thank you very much. Well, not too far from Ziniko Mhlaba is Juniour Khumalo, also getting political reaction. Juniour, who do you have with you?
I have with me the ATM president of Vuyo, Zungula, who just has a few concerns about some of the things that were left out by the IEC when it did this launch. Mr. Zungula, thank you so much for joining us, sir. You had a few concerns about the launch that happened today. What are those concerns?
Look, elections are about trust. Now, if you are going to be having a lower voter turnout, that erodes the credibility of the elections. However, the IEC has not come out very strongly to say this is what they are going to embark on to ensure that they increase the voter turnout, in the sense that there's going to be voter education programs, especially in the townships and the villages, because you find that in the affluent areas, voter education is not a problem then. Then the second issue is the electoral processes when it comes to the appointing of presiding officers of a ANC-aligned SADTU teachers who are presiding officers. In other words, they preside over electoral processes in their respective voter districts. So in our view as the ATM, with that not being addressed, then the question of whether these elections are credible or not is going to find expression in terms of we are not going to be comfortable, especially when we find that there are also cases whereby the ballot papers are lost, or the ballot papers are found, marked ballot papers are always found. You're going to have teachers that are going to vote more than 20 times. However, there is not even, proper prosecution and conviction of people who commit such electoral, who commit crimes in terms of such processes. So in our view, this launch should have addressed those critical issues, and then we can look at the other things.
Thank you so much. That is the ATM president, Mr. Vuyo Zungula, saying there were some concerns that they had raised with the IEC, in particular the employment of ANC-affiliated or ANC-affiliated workers during the election season. Some of these workers come from SAF2, as he had already said. Some of them come from the various unions that are associated with the ANC. And this is a concern that has been raised by many other political parties, including the DA itself, that has called on the IEC to look into this matter, especially going into a critical election like next year's election, Ms. Mkambi.
Juniour Khumalo live for us there at that IEC event. Thank you very much to both our reporters, Ziniko Mhlaba and Juniour Khumalo there.